With the season winding down, stars are now getting rest for the playoffs. Seedings are starting to become locked in. People are going over their picks for the season awards. Uncle Ron is calling Uncle Terry racist for saying Jokic should be MVP at the family reunion. Uncle Ron is now giving Uncle Terry the work. The reunion is ruined. Grandma's crying because they knocked over her catfish and... Oh, that's TMI? Oh, okay. Well, my point was that the polarity around the MVP award has been there for, feels like a few years now, no? So me being the problem solver I am thought, what outside of the box way can we better help define this accolade? And the solution to this? I think we need to create a new Offensive Player of the Year award. Now I know I'm not inventing the wheel on this one, as the National Football League does have their own Offensive Player of the Year award, so why doesn't the NBA? I mean, from a logical standpoint, we have a Defensive Player of the Year, we should have an Offensive Player of the Year award, and then the Most Valuable Player award should be a combination of both, right? I mean, think about it. How many guys over the years were absolute magicians in terms of putting the ball in the basket, yet had no sort of defense and won the MVP award? I got a few on my mind, and let's go ahead and reevaluate the last 13 years and see who gets Offensive Player of the Year, who keeps their MVPs, and who doesn't. Before we get into the real meat and potatoes of the video, make sure to eviscerate the like button, go ham on the sub button, and initiate those post notifications. Also, shout out to TJ, aka Big Boss Rabbit 11, for the help on the idea and research. You the man. Going back to 13 years ago, the 2009-2010 season, Obama was president, post-recession, some young oil spill action going on. What a time. But the reason I picked this year is because during this time period is when my little Gen Z ass, started to watch basketball fairly seriously. And as you may know, I try to be a basketball historian and go deep into history as much as I can. But I think narratives are important to the MVP discussion, at least a little bit. So having the context of being fully conscious during the era and fully knowing that season's lore, I think is important. So cracking it off with LeBron's second year of winning the MVP award, think we're gonna have to let the man keep it. 0.3 points away from averaging 30 a game, alongside 7 boards, 8.6 assists, and a 61-win season is, it's hard to beat. I mean, it's arguably the athletic prime of the second best player to ever pick up a basketball. What do you want me to say? And I'm sorry to start off boring, but LeBron also gets the Offensive Player of the Year award. With that kind of scoring and playmaking on 50% shooting from the field, Kobe nor Kevin Durant seasons are touching this crazy peak from LeBron, in my humblest of opinions. On to the 2010-2011 season. We got the youngest MVP in league history, the athletic freak, Derrick Rose. Now look, a part of me wants to really say that LeBron should win MVP this year, averaging 27, 8 and 6, playing good defense, but we must look at the narrative and remember the type of backlash Bron got from making the Miami move. Nobody was ready for player movement, especially not in the villainous way Bron had done it so publicly. So I'm going to have to stay with D Rose winning his MVP, leading his squad to a higher win total than the stacked Miami Heat that were in the same conference. In terms of Offensive Player of the Year, none of these dudes get it, as the Slim Reaper was really coming into his own this year, averaging 27 points on 46, 35, 88 splits, hitting clutch game winners, and just had a very visually pleasing jump shot. Transitioning into the 2011-2012 lockout year, we have yet another dominant MVP year from LeBron James, in which he maximized the potential of his team around him while adding on to his already filthy game with some textbook footwork. Thanks, Hakeem. This was one of the instances where, when you take away all the numbers and you just sit and watch how he played, it was hard to say that there was any player in any era that could match that type of dominance. Finishing top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year voting while averaging 27, 8 and 6 on 53, 36, 77 shooting is unfortunately too beastly for runner-up Kevin Durant to overcome. Now this 2012-2013 year, woo! My God. Take everything I just said about LeBron James, double it, and that's what Le Unstoppable was doing out there on the court. From launching threes from behind the arc, skying for the Sprite Slam Cam, game winners, 1 vote shy of being the first ever unanimous MVP, finishing top 2 in Defensive Player of the Year voting behind someone who didn't even make first team all defense. If the world worked how it was supposed to, this would be this era's first ever triple crown. Averaging a cool 27, 8 and 7 on a mind-bending 56, 40, 76 splits, while leading a stacked Miami squad to their franchise record of 66 and 16. 27 wins in a row at one point, by the way. I think we can say James deserved Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and League's Most Valuable Player award. It's as simple as you either watched him this season or you didn't. He was him. The Kevin Durant, you the real MVP year, 2013-2014. Now call me a softie, but that speech was so dope and flat out beautiful that for that reason, he keeps the MVP. I guess we can also include the fact that, he had the second most wins in the NBA while his co-star Russell Westbrook was out due to injury, received 10 all-defensive votes, averaged 1.3 steals a game, if that's relevant to you at all. Oh, and the Offensive Player of the Year award? Yeah, it goes to the Durantula as well, earning himself a scoring title with a slithery 32 points per game on 50, 39, 87 shooting efficiency, while sprinkling on 5.5 assists as a little bonus treat for us all. Durant had something to prove this year, always being labeled as a second place guy, and he showed us all why we shouldn't take him lightly. And now, we have the coming out party for the short guy on the Warriors, Stephen Wardell Curry, and his 2014-2015 MVP year. Lighting the world on fire with his green light of pulling from 5 feet too deep, the son of Del Curry was the engine that got this team buzzing to a league best 67-15 record, proving to everyone that you can win with a shoot-first point guard. Having a, let's say, weakish MVP campaign in terms of counting numbers compared to the other dudes that we examined, Steph gave us a 24-8-4 season on 48, 44, 91 shooting splits, while getting in the passing lanes with 2 steals a game. Now, as the real dashing hoopers might know, this pains me to do, but I do see how people would give the slight edge for MVP to James Harden. I know, who is Dash and Hoop without the slight Harden slander? But the man had a much weaker supporting cast, finishing second in the West with his 27.5, 7-4. But I still give the edge to Curry, as he ousted Harden in efficiency by a ton. So with these factors in mind, Steph keeps the MVP and adds to his stacked resume an Offensive Player of the Year award. 2015-2016, Gen Z's favorite year. Does this year need any explanation? The best. And I really mean the best offensive output from any player over the course of a season I think anyone has ever seen, at least since the 90s. No player was with Steph in terms of an MVP, Offensive Player of the Year award, none of that. The unanimous MVP that led his team to an all-time winning season record deserved it. No ands, ors, ifs, or buts about it. I think we forget how efficient Steph got his 30-point per game average. 50, 45, and 90 splits. And if we want to talk defense, the man led the league in steals that year. I mean, what are we talking about? Next, on to Brody's 16-17 year. Now I can't front. I'd probably be classified as a Westbrook hater. I know. But listen, I understand that this award is narrative based, and averaging a triple-double at this time was thought to be utterly impossible. I mean, shit, a below average night for Russ would classify as a 31-10-10 game. Wheeling his team to a 6th seed position the year after Kevin Durant left to join the Warriors leads to too many juicy factors as to why he should get the MVP award. So I'm going to have to give the award to Russ. But I would like to add, I think this was a year that really broke brains about the MVP award, as giving it to a 6th seed was unheard of before this. Being said, I don't think he deserves the Offensive Player of the Year award though. I must factor into play the type of usage that Russ was assigned, and that being the reason I'm not giving him sounds ironic since I'm giving the new award to James Harden. There you go, Harden fans, I did it. Having better efficiency, a league-leading 11.2 assists, and not just forcing stuff as much as Russ is why I'm giving Harden the award. My true colors are about to bleed onto the video. The 2017-2018 most valuable player should have been LeBron James. Now, hey, I get it. Harden was insane that year, having himself a performance and a half, especially in the wins column. But from a visual point of view, it looked like some of the most nasty, non-traditional, no defense playing type of basketball we've ever seen. And this might be the basketball purist in me coming out, or my valuing of the postseason for a regular season award, but just sitting there and watching LeBron play at this time was sexy looking basketball. Still having about 60% of his athleticism, a grown man kind of strength, and an overall higher basketball IQ, I wanted to see this man win one more MVP. I like the field goal percentage a ton. The winning plays throughout the season, including game winners and leadership qualities to win close games. I can't deny, though, that offensively Harden clears as the award winner, averaging 30, 9, and 5.5. That's just what you want of a guy who's labeled as one of the best scorers to ever do it. Harden led the team with the best record in the league, definitely giving himself a case as to winning the Most Valuable Player award. But in my eyes, he's just the 2018 Offensive Player of the Year winner. No shame in that. All right. 2019. Sheesh. So this one is a tough one for me. Being one of the biggest content creator Giannis fans on the platform, I'm going to actually give the award to Giannis. And this exact year is precisely why I think we should have the award. Giannis was obviously the most impactful / dominant player in the league up to that point, being the best player on the best team in the league, bulldozing through people that average about 28 points, 12.5 rebounds, 6 assists, second place in Defensive Player of the Year voting, averaging about 3 stocks a game. An amazing player, right? Well, I do believe that 36 points per game matters, at least a little bit, and should probably get a little bit of credit. I mean, love him or hate him, I recognize Harden knows how to manipulate the game to get him some buckets. And let me be clear, I don't really love the foul baiting, but it would be silly for a professional basketball player not to take what the game is giving to you. So for this 2019 year, I'm giving the Offensive Player of the Year award to James Harden. See, the actual best player got rewarded, but so did the best offensive player. Win-win. And here we have our second triple crown for this era, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Believe it or not, I was still in my hater phase when it came to Giannis at this point in the 2019-2020 season. I wasn't enjoying basketball like I should have been because, man, did he have some berserk numbers, elevating his game a step further than the year before's MVP. First seed in the Eastern Conference, Defensive Player of the Year winner, averaged 30, 13.5, and 5.5 on an unguardable 55% from the field, throwing in a steal and a block a game. From the Eurostep posters to the putbacks to giving prime help defense, the turnaround close range jumper, it's just beautiful basketball. Harden does ball out this year, making a strong case for his Offensive Player of the Year award, averaging 34 points a game. But with the type of efficiency Giannis brings alongside how he got his buckets so effortlessly, Giannis keeps the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year award, and adds on an Offensive Player of the Year. Now in the first controversial Jokic versus Embiid year, think I'm gonna have to step up and do it. With the Joker winning the MVP award in the 2020-21 season, he does not keep it after the creation of the Offensive Player of the Year award. Mr. Second Place himself will grab the MVP award, and that is Joel Embiid. With a monstrous 28.5, 10.5 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1.5 blocks, JoJo showed us he deserves to be appreciated for his winning and defensive capabilities. Being 7th in the Defensive Player of the Year voting, a part of the all-defensive second team, and being the number 1 seeded Eastern Conference team, should be rewarded with an MVP. Now don't think I'm a dummy and gonna give him the Offensive Player of the Year award as well, because that obviously goes to Nikola Jokic. 26, 11, and 8 is absurd in its own right, but doing it on 56, 38, 86% shooting is f***ing bananas. So go ahead and crown him for that award. And for our last year of switching up the awards, and maybe my most controversial one, we're switching up the 2021-2022 MVP winner from Nikola Jokic to Devin Armani Booker. Look, Suns bias? Maybe. But hear me out. We've made an emphasis on impact of winning and defense, and Devin Booker absolutely got in his bag for both categories, leading his squad to the best record in the league with 64 wins, getting votes for all defensive team, first team All-NBA alongside a smooth 27.55 and a steal to make his case for the most valuable player in the league. With the Offensive Player of the Year award though, I am most definitely going to have to make it back-to-back for my guy Nikola Jokic, increasing his numbers even more with his 2 co-stars injured the whole season. He grabs the award by the throat with his 27, 14, and 8 on 58, 33, 81 shooting. God damn, those are ridiculous. But what do you think, Dash and Hoopers? Did I get this list right? Should there be an Offensive Player of the Year award? Did I do all this just to get LeBron another MVP? You let me know down in the comments below, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, y'all have a phenomenal rest of your day.